Well, Merry Christmas, Arsenal fans. A tasty 2-0 loss to West Ham at home. Declan Rice is going to be a meme. I mean, it would have been worse. He gave away a penalty at the end and they didn't score it to make it 3-0. But yeah, it's a really poor result. I've got so many things I want to talk about. First of all, let's just go through the team. I've got the teams on the right here. Trossard starting. Obviously, Havertz was suspended for this one. I would have really had liked to seen Emil Smith-Rowe start today. Um, he came on and did all right in the final 10 minutes or so, I thought. Martinelli down the left, he has been getting some criticism recently. We'll talk about that in a moment. Zinchenko keeping his place in the team when I would argue he's been probably our weakest player over the last month or so. Let's have a look at the West Ham team, which, by the way, I think they've invested the Rice money extremely well. And in general, I think West Ham have done such a good job as a club for the last few years. I think David Moyes, I think there was one point he was almost being kicked out or almost hounded out of the club. Really wasn't that long ago. And he's a superb manager. He's got so much experience. And I mean, he's got a really good, strong West Ham team winning trophies. And that's all that matters in football, really. Champions of Europe, the Conference League. But still, they looked very tidy today. Defensively strong. Mavropanos, ex-Arsenal player, of course. I remember his debut at Old Trafford all those years ago. And now he's come to the Emirates and scored a second goal to bury us when we're in a title race. Areola, man of the match in goal. Incredibly difficult to beat him today, it would seem. Or any goalkeeper for that matter, because it feels like our Arsenal team don't have any finishers, any lethal finishers. It's strange. We will talk about it. West Ham only made one sub. Yeah, wow, okay. I mean, it's not unheard of, but kind of rare. And Benrahma actually missed his penalty. Unfortunate for him. We brought on Nketiah, Nelson, and ESR at the end. Smith Rowe, how did I think he got on? I think obviously he hasn't got many minutes under his belt for a while now, and that was a final 10-minute substitution where he's had a minimal impact, but he looked quite tidy, I thought. I would have really liked to seen him start today. I'm sad he didn't. I think he has definitely got to really consider what's going to happen in his career because there's no doubt about it. He's fallen out of the pecking order since getting another injury. We are quite stacked in that kind of attacking midfielder, left-sided player position. I'm not so sure he could ever drop deep and play as more of a central midfielder, kind of like a Granit Xhaka. It does seem like it might be tricky for him to find a solid position in this team. Let me go ahead and take a look at the stats. So, momentum, oof. I mean, when they've scored, they've had those teeny little spikes at the start and then the second one, the third spike, which you can see where they scored the corner. 74% possession we've had today. 2.6 expected goals to 1.4. We've had 30 shots, 8 shots on target. Do you know how disgusting that is? How are we not scoring? 5 big chances. We missed them all. Jesus, missing sitters. It's just embarrassing. It's not good enough. 12 shots off target compared to 8 on target. Like, for me, I'm guessing it's kind of 50-50 in football in general, but you should be getting more shots on target than off. I think that should just be a general rule of thumb. Like, you want to be hitting the target. You're professional footballers. The goal is quite big. Just get it on target. Look, on another day we win this game, we put away our chances, or we come away with a 2-2 draw, or whatever. And yes, you could argue the first goal, the ball looked like it might have gone out. Still, terrible defending. I won't use that as an excuse. The Mavropanos header coming off the bar and the post and going in. It is unlucky, but again, defend it. It's very easy, though, to see we just have not scored our chances. We have not been clinical in front of goal. And that is the problem with today's game. It's very simple. I truly believe we will miss out on this year's title because of this exact thing. The fact that we're not being clinical in front of goal. It's so important you score your chances because in some games, you're not going to get many. In some games, you're going to get a lot, like today. And maybe in games like today, you can be a little bit more wasteful because you know you're going to get more chances at home. But when we're travelling away from home and we're getting 2 big chances, we've got to score them. And this has been a problem, I think, for a considerable amount of this season where we're just toothless in front of goal. So I genuinely think if there's going to be one reason we don't put in a serious title challenge, which I don't think we will, and I haven't said we will this season. You can go back and watch all of these videos. I haven't once said we're going to win the title. We're going to be there or thereabouts. We're going to be, I think, within 10 points. And that doesn't sound great, but it's competitive enough. It's not what we want, but it's because of lack of finishing in front of goal. It's a lack of a number 9 that's going to bag us 20 goals a season. I genuinely think with Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus, we are lucky to get 10 league goals from them. And that's not good enough for a club that wants to win a title. When you've got teams with a Haaland, a Salah, you need a Tone who's going to bag us 20 goals, and Osimhen, something. If you look at the league top scorers, Arsenal don't feature at all. That we haven't got a single player that's got 6 or more goals. That's insane. Okay, it's fine if you can spread around the goals and have your wingers and your midfielders contributing, which we have got that with Martinelli, Saka. Less so Martinelli this season, but if we look at last season, Martinelli was our top scorer, I believe, and he hasn't been able to replicate that, and that's another reason. We're not sharing the goals enough. So it's a big problem. Is Saka, Jesus, and Martinelli the long-term plan? It can't be. I don't think it can be. I love Saka. No issue whatsoever with Saka. He is, on his day, one of the best wingers in the world, and we can all agree he carries Arsenal at times. No problem there. But when it comes to that number 9 role and the number 11 role, striker, left winger, I do have my doubts. Jesus, for me, is not an out-and-out goal scorer. There is a reason City let him go. They knew Haaland was coming in. Obviously, we couldn't compete with that at the time. But we need a Haaland. There's a reason they let Zinchenko go. He's a great player, technically gifted, but he's a liability defensively. And I just think Martinelli on that left side, I gave him some pretty harsh criticism, and actually it got clipped. I saw it on TikTok, people saying, what's this guy talking about? And that's fine. Not everyone has to agree with me. And I'm a huge fan of Martinelli. I absolutely love the guy, and I've supported him since he joined, back when we had Emery. He was an Emery signing. But I said, and I stand by it, he won't last as a Mikel Arteta winger with the way he plays at this present time. He has a lot to his game. He brings a lot to the team. But one thing you cannot get away with in this Arsenal side, if we're going to be pushing for titles, is a lack of scanning, looking up, finding players, and scoring goals. He is a bit inconsistent when it comes to all of those things. He works hard, he makes incredible runs, he is dangerous in front of goal, and he does bring goals, but he hasn't been this season. He's not a perfect Arteta winger. I'm telling you, Arteta will be thinking this himself, that Martinelli probably has another season to really prove himself, or we might need to look elsewhere. And I'm really sorry if you disagree, and it's totally fine if you think I'm an idiot for saying it. I believe it. It really wouldn't surprise me if Arteta is here in years to come, which I hope he is. I don't think Martinelli will be unless he changes that now. He's still so young. He's got so much time to implement that in his game, to be a bit more of a team player, a bit more... I think what he needs to do is just slow down a bit. Get your head up, dude. And Jesus needs to play as a striker, not as this kind of hybrid of left wing, right back, DM, number 8, number 6. He's everywhere. And we just need someone up top. It does annoy me. It does. And Zinchenko, I mentioned it. There is a reason City let go of Jesus, Zinchenko. Great players, superb players, title winners. But why would City let them go? We're seeing it. We are seeing it. They're elite players, but they aren't the perfect solution. Zinchenko is not the solution for a title-winning left-back. He isn't. He can do this role that we've got him doing very, very well indeed, but he leaves a lot to be desired defensively. and Jesus doesn't score enough goals. It is as simple as that. How are we bringing on an attacking change to replace Zinchenko and looking better defensively? Explain that to me. We're taking a left back off, putting on an attacking change, and we're improving defensively because of it. That is wrong. And I just think Zinchenko, he either needs to play in midfield or we have to do something different with this system of having him at left back when we don't have the ball, because he is an issue. He is. We can talk about Trossard briefly as well, because it's another game where I just think he's had a stinker, and I think Trossard might be one of our most bipolar players, very hot and cold. Some games he's unplayable and he's brilliant, and then some games he stinks up the entire stadium. And today was one of those days where I would have loved just an average, decent performance from Trossard. And I get that he's not playing in his best role. He is definitely an attacking winger, in my opinion. Or if anything, he's kind of a false number 9, off the striker, whatever. Playing him in that left 8 role, I just don't see it personally. Maybe because West Ham was so good at what they did today and it kind of suffocated Trossard's role. But he was cold today. Very cold today. A lot of players were, to be fair. I might be singling out a couple of them, but I just want to talk about them. This is one of those typical post-Christmas games, if you ask me. The players just didn't seem to really kick into gear, and obviously we weren't good enough in front of goal. And I mentioned Emile Smith-Rowe. I hope he stays at Arsenal. I hope he makes it as one of our important players, but I don't see it. With the way we are at the moment, I just don't know where he kind of slots in. But that is something for him to worry about, not me, and something for the coaches and the manager to worry about. It's a really disappointing result. You know, we had a massive opportunity to gain further points from Tottenham, who have lost. They were 4-0 down tonight. I was enjoying that, but we were losing at the time, so it didn't feel as great. We had an opportunity to go further ahead of City and catch up with Liverpool, and we just haven't taken advantage of a home game that we should be winning. And, you know, I am a big fan of West Ham, and I know they're a good side, but you can't be title challengers and lose at home to West Ham. It's not good enough. So we need to bounce back. It's not going to be an easy few weeks. We've got Liverpool again soon, and big moment in the season. I'm of the opinion that we were never going to win the title this season, and I will stand by that, and today has solidified that for me. We're not serious title contenders putting in performances like this. But we will be there or thereabouts, and we are just a couple of players away from finishing the puzzle. Striker, left back, maybe another midfielder to cover for Partey and Jorginho if they're leaving, and I think we mean serious business.